This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you've probably been paying attention all day better than me as to what's going on with the Oilers today. But, well, I sit down, I get my computer opened up, and I get rolling on news of the day. And before I can even get to my Edmonton Oilers insider list, it just so happens there's some breaking news. And you're going to see how quickly I jumped on this, all right? This is how quick I saw breaking news, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to read what's happened today because this is what's happened today. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the channel, please take the next 10 minutes or so to consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around for what's going to be a full season of coverage here. It's already been an excellent season to begin with, so let's keep it going. My friends, Mike Smith. You'd pretend like Oilers fans actually think Mike Smith is a good goalie today. The way there is so much cause for concern in the Edmonton Oilers net, and oh my goodness, we're doomed without a second goalie, a backup that we all thought was terrible and shouldn't have been re-signed anyway, and then we're doomed without a third-string goaltender in Anton Forsberg, who got claimed today off of waivers from Carolina to Winnipeg because they were ahead of the Oilers in the pecking order of the waivers list. And I mean, who cares about Anton Forsberg? That guy literally didn't even play a single game in an Oilers uniform. But my goodness, the panic today I've seen on Twitter about how are the Oilers going to survive with just Mikko Koskinen and Stuart Skinner as their goaltenders? Well, save that for a second, because the Oilers have placed Mike Smith on the LTIR. Yes, yes, yes. More LTIR stuff, and I'm sure we got to figure out the numbers and stuff, and we'll get to that in mere moments here, and I'll update this as soon as we get through the meat and potatoes of this video. I'll turn back to Twitter for a minute. We'll check that, see if there's anything I've missed, and then we'll go along with the video. So stay tuned. You're going to miss some stuff if you tune out after I get through this tweet. Meaning an absence of 24 days or 10 games for Mike Smith. So Mike Smith is now scheduled to miss 20%. That's, I guess, 56, 11 divided by 56 is exactly almost 20% of the season. That's a lot of games, okay? That's a big chunk to be without your number two, quote-unquote, goaltender, where, I mean, what a lot of people even during the offseason said, well, why shouldn't Forsberg be the backup instead of Mike Smith? He'll force him out anyway. There was articles from, I believe, the Edmonton Journal, from Mark Spector, everywhere across Edmonton Oilers land, of people saying Forsberg would force out Mike Smith. Nowhere in this did anybody prepare for the worst case scenario, which, I'm sorry, 2020 taught you nothing, I guess. But here we go. Now we've got Mikko Koskinen instilled as the full-time starter no matter what, and Stuart Skinner, the organizational number 4, as of only like a week ago. Yeah, just a week ago. Stuart Skinner was the organizational number 4, is now the backup, and the organizational, realistically, number 6 in Olivier Rodrigue has been recalled from the Austrian League to join the taxi squad. Oh dear. It just got even more interesting, didn't it? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta love it. This is the reality, and I mean, you know what? I sit here and laugh about it. I'm sure there's a lot of Oilers fans actually really panicked about this. But the reason I'm laughing about this is if you're an MLB fan, if you're from Canada and you cheer for the Toronto Blue Jays, you've been here, done that before this season, right? I think, to put it nicely, to compare this situation to value to the team what a goaltender is, not necessarily talking what a position player or pitcher in baseball is, but kind of the organizational need of these two guys in Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith to be queued up cornerstone, I don't know, I'm looking for cornerstone pieces of the franchise this season to deliver us where we want to be. The equivalent is, I guess you could say, Vladimir Guerrero and, of course, Bo Bichette, Guerrero Jr. We're not talking Vladdy from way back. We're talking the modern day Vladdy Guerrero Jr., the son. But anyway, those two are cornerstone pieces of the Blue Jays franchise. And you may remember a time in which, well, Bo Bichette went down for the Blue Jays, and there was a whole bunch of other random injuries. And I mean, 2020 for baseball was a mess as a whole. The Blue Jays had a lot of fun as well, and a young team and a team that was supposed to start taking those steps in the right direction. Kind of akin to the Oilers here, where we're supposed to take the steps in the right direction. We took those last year, but now we're supposed to take those next steps. So translate it roughly, loosely, whatever I want to say. And if you get what I'm saying is, you know what? It gets interesting, but you make it through it. And if you want to get through it the right way, you just power through and don't care about what's happening. You just get through it. That's what the Jays did. Yeah, sure, the Jays got into the playoffs for a 2-game series, but guess what? That's still the playoffs for the Toronto Blue Jays in, well, the first time since what, 2016? With the team we had, with the young kids all around just doing what they were doing, that's pretty phenomenal. So now you got the Oilers sitting here with their number 4 organizational goalie essentially being the backup. You got Mikko Koskinen, who everybody still questions as a number 1 goaltender for whatever reason. I mean, you go look at whatever chart you want to this year, comparing him to every other Canadian goaltender that started in the North Division. Guess what? Mikko Koskinen, I believe, is 1 or 2 at the top of the charts. So I'm sorry, Mikko Koskinen is a legit number 1. He has been for about a year now. And guess what? We can survive this. This is not a problem. And I mean, anyone that's sitting here saying this is a problem, but has dissed Mike Smith in the past, that is two wrongs do not make a right here for you to be concerned. If you were upset the Oilers re-signed Mike Smith, but you're now concerned more about the Oilers goaltending than you were before Mike Smith was placed on the LTIR, you are making yourself some double standards unlike I've seen, all right? You can't just say Mike Smith is useless, and then as soon as Mike Smith goes down, freak out that the Oilers are doomed because they don't have Mike Smith. That's just my opinion aside, and I live in a bubble, all right? If you're tuning into Dolany TV for the first or second time, and you're like, what is this guy all about? Why is he rattling off on Oilers fans here in the middle of a video about Mike Smith? It's simply because, you know what, I read every single comment that comes into the channel, and most of it, when it's related to Mike Smith, is nowhere near positive. It is, why did we re-sign him? Why is he still here? Can we get rid of this guy? And you even look at the Oilers media talking about Forsberg about a couple of months ago, forcing out Mike Smith in the crease midway through the season. Well, guess what? Stuart Skinner's forced out both those guys. Due to no fault of his own, Stuart Skinner is now the backup goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers, and that is quite the interesting turn of events. So let's turn to Twitter here, as I've taken the last minute or two to kind of wrap everything up and get this going. So, let me see if we can find Olivier Rodrigue has been a starter in the Austrian League, now on the taxi squad for the Oilers. Oilers are going to add an NHL goaltender, only a matter of time, and predictable. Yeah, so let's get Jack Michael's take. With Mike Smith being placed on LTIR and quarantine rules in effect, not inconceivable that Stuart Skinner could see his first NHL action in the intervening weeks. Keep in mind, though, the next back-to-back for the Oilers doesn't come until February 8th, 9th. I believe, actually, we have a back-to-back on the 30th and the 31st. Michaels is incorrect there, if I'm not mistaken. If I've got this. Nope, that's the Oilers roster. I thought I had something preloaded. So let me go to the Oilers website, because Jack Michaels, I mean, love him to death. He did an excellent job last night, but I believe he is incorrect on that February 8th, 9th call. Indeed, he is. It's January 30th and 31st. The Oilers play at home against the Leafs and Senators. So, big news, and yes, obviously we'll talk about signing a goalie and what that all means, but I guess that's something I want to see, maybe names pop up first of who's available in Canada, to not necessarily have to go through quarantine rules and figuring all that out. But right now, that's kind of all aside, because this is big shuffling news in Edmonton Oilers land. The fact that Mike Smith is now gone, right? He was gone last game, now gone a minimum of 10 more games. That's a 20% of the season, and Olivier Rodrigue is headed back from Austria. Parker Mackay, sorry, it's been great playing with you, but he's coming back to Edmonton after playing with Graz 99ers. If you don't know that reference, you don't know Dolany TV as well as you think you do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. This is Dolany TV. There's so much more to get to tonight, and don't you worry, we will get to it. All right, it's Friday night. Guess who doesn't work tomorrow? The joys of the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, right? Hey, love it to death, and that's what allows me to do this for you. So raise your coffee, raise your beverage, whatever you're drinking tonight. I mean, if you're a concerned Oilers fan that we're doomed in the goaltending department now, you might want to take a big old swig this evening and just enjoy a Friday night with no hockey after an insane back-to-back against the Vancouver Canucks. All right, I'm Tyson Dolan, TV up on out of here.